So right around April, the Earth will be on the outside of all that. All the big giant planets, the sun, everything's going to be behind us. We're the only thing in the entire solar system in front of the sun. And everything that's out in space is going to get tugged into the face of our planet for about 4 months. Now, this is going to reshape our planet here.
Perfect. Okay.
Now, again, I do need to split some hairs here. Electromagnetism, gravity, and magnetics are all separate yet connected. And will there be gravitational effects because of planetary bodies lining up? That's an unknown. Some people say yes, some people say no. Will the interlooping on toroid fields of magnetic transference or possibility or potentiality occur? Again, some people say yes, some people say no. But until the events happen, we just don't know. But I guarantee we're going to learn a lot about science during this time on interlooping magnetic field currents and how those are affected by the sun and all of our planets and the interplay between those fields. We're going to learn more about this in the next 6 months than we probably have in the last 500 to 800 years in the next 6 months. So these weather fronts are getting incredible. Like every time you look now, when you see these come in, people are going, oh, it's like it was predicted. You see these big fronts coming and people run for their lives, literally, and the hailstones coming down are getting larger and larger and larger. They said a world record hailstone was like 4 pounds and something over in India. And that was a biggie. So these things are starting to uptick. We go next slide. This is event number 1, what we're looking at here. All right. So on the left side, this is October 24th or between 19th and 24th of just in a couple months. On the right side there, 79 AD. And what you see is the 4 gas giants squared up. And this is about the most exact square that I can find going back through the orbital diagrams in the software and using different softwares from Solar System Scope is the one you're seeing here. You can use JPL, Universal Sandbox. But the Earth is coming through on the sandwich between those 4 gas giants. And here's the splitting of a hair. Some say that interlooping of that and the Earth going through the magnetic field from the sun and the magnetic field created by those 4 in this squaring pattern will have no effect or it will have some effect. And again, I'm not really choosing sides on the gravity thing. I am saying absolutely the potential for the human mind to unlock in a different magnetic field and perceive reality different is the thing that is most possible during this, and higher tides too. And again, higher tides would have a very disruptive effect globally. If they come in, there's more velocity, the water's heavier, it's going to rip things to shreds. If it were to, more earthquakes perhaps, but the human resonance field, perception difference, this is my main number 1 thing. It seems like the world is rushing and they don't care how sloppy they are. They need to hit this milestone or get something done before this point. The world awakens, right? So this is coming up in just a couple months. So keep your eyes on this one. A lot of different things should be occurring during this time. You're going to watch a lot of governments respond to this. It's not about the events happening and the government's playing catch up like, oh, there was an earth crack and, a bridge ripped apart from the Mississippi. Let's go repair it. They're going to already have excuses to why it's happening to prevent you from panicking. And then they'll have to put more control. Oh, now there needs to be rationing because we got a bridge broken. Every time one of the events happens, they're going to be more control like a constrictor. Next one, please. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. So we're going to be on that magnetic field squeeze between the regular sun and then this alignment that only happens once every 2,000 years, this squaring. Now, there's different variations of it. It comes off like a rectangle sometimes. If they come into a line like it did in 1999, that's not the same. This is a square of those. So all those looping fields in on themselves, will it create something larger? That's the thing we will find out from science during this time. And would it have an effect as the Earth passes through 2 magnetic fields? Because normally we only have 1. Now, Jupiter and Saturn, they have their own magnetic fields, but what if those start to interplay on each other? What if they glow brighter? And then we start to get back into myths and legends. What if these two, Zeus and sort of what if they start to glow brighter in the heavens where you can see luminosity wise that, wow, it's much brighter up there. How are they going to respond to that on Earth and keep people calm when two planets start glowing brighter just magically in October? This is something to contend with as well, the perception management. Okay, and that'll be in the middle of October here to the end of October. So that's event number 1. And if we could can you go to next? Okay. And again, it's about this resonance. Now, this thing usually moves in the PowerPoint, but it's cymatics. So when you put a different frequency or vibration in something, it changes the shape of it. It changes the actual structure of it. So if there were to be some change electromagnetically because of where the planets sit in this geometry not seen in thousands of years, the way that, again, either our Earth behaves or the human behaves will be greatly affected during this time. Would you be even able to perceive that because you're inside the new magnetic field, so would you even perceive that there was a change versus being an outside looker on the way in because you're going to be encapsulated in this field as it changes? So will you even notice that it changed? That's another question. There's a lot of, things that are unknowns at this point. Can we go to the next one? And now this is another big thing. And you can't tell me with a straight face, 2 weeks ago, they started to put out all these news articles that now we have an electric field from 100 miles up all the way to the ground that has this electric frequency in it all the way around the whole planet that somehow they just discovered last 2 weeks ago. They've been talking about this for thousands of years. They talked about the ether. Tesla was tapping into this thing for wireless electricity in the 1880s. And suddenly just this last 2 weeks, they found it. They quote unquote discovered it. And the amount of news headlines on this thing, if you're into the science news, it was like the #1 news headline. They verified that there's a millivolt charge and actually voltage charge difference between the ionosphere and our ground. That you could maybe tap that and create electricity and atmospheric harvest it. And then people are now suddenly, well, you know what? Not enough minerals. Let's just go ahead and use this new system. This is way better than building solar panels. Are you kidding me? All right, what's the next one there? Actually,
then? I've got just to pull up here. This is
please do. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, right there. That was off the NASA feed.
Yeah, so NASA discovers long-sought global electric field on Earth. Right, they're saying that a rocket team reports the first successful detection of Earth's ambipolar electric field, a weak planet-wide electric field as fundamental as Earth's gravity and magnetic fields. Quick question, right? With this, you mentioned a lot about perception management. Do you think that they're coming out and talking about this because they realize that more and more people are becoming aware of it and they have to be able to be in front of it? Because if ordinary citizens like Ashton Forbes, for instance, who's been researching the MH370 and alternative electricity, that it's like that the average person is now talking about this stuff and talking about ether and electroculture, and that they're now trying to get out in front of it. And then they're going to have to maybe unveil it in a way they can control and they can, kind of manipulate.
Yeah, but the same thing as I was saying in the beginning with global warming, the reason they gave you an excuse that the weather was going to change, so when you saw it that you wouldn't panic. The same thing with the green agenda where they were saying windmills, solar panels, electric cars. Okay, they knew it right from the beginning there wouldn't be enough copper in the world to do. They have to mine more copper in the next 30 years than they did in the last 2,000 years to make this green transition work. So that's simple math, 30 years or 2,000 years. That's a big difference. But imagine moving over into this atmospheric harvesting. Oh, we just hopscotch that. And then suddenly they have anti-gravitics. We don't need the roads any longer. They have all of these, perpetual energy devices that are spinning. And I bet a lot of them will be based on using magnets and opposite rotational disks that'll provide you with electricity forever. But I guarantee they're not going to give it to you for free. It'll be another meter-based system or something. They'll try to say you have to pay for the Earth's magnetic field somehow, or you have to rent the device or something like this. It's very strange that all of this planetary magnetic field change talk is around the circles as well, coming out into the mainstream. And suddenly in the same weeks leading up to that October event, suddenly they find that the Earth's magnetic field, did you see what the most important thing is? It's as important as gravity. Now, for me, gravity is a big, very important part of keeping your feet on the ground. So if they're saying the atmospheric charge is just as important as gravity, well, then I think our scientists are not really scientists. They're quacks and shills. If they couldn't figure that out already, come on.
Exactly. So that helps explain this then what you're talking about. That they're saying
it's called the global electric circuit, and I forgot to label that. Global electric. Eugene Bagashev's the expert on that.
I see. Okay. So I'll let you continue with the presentation.
Oh, please. And it's only a few more slides. And it's kind of, these next ones are very easy to understand. All right. So this square is significant that it only occurs every several thousand years. And then, if you start to plug those planets in on the Kabbalah there, then, you start to have something. For me, it's the beginning of the cycle. Not every planet plugs in cleanly. So if you roll around over the next, multiple years, decades, whatever, you can find the completion point where that would plug in the bottom and then finish that cycle. But I am very firm that they have marked in time the beginning of the cycle encoded in religion, as you spoke of before. Then we go the Hyundai Cross. They could never figure out, why is the sun angry? What are those 4 things around the sun? Well, right there you go. Your planetary, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. I mean, so they were wondering, this has been such a contentious area of study. Like, why is there an angry sun? What's causing the angry sun? But you start to see the squaring of those planets, and you plug those in, and you go, well, that possible answer right there.
Interesting.
All right, so these things are encoded in history. You just need to go look for them. And once you know what you're looking for, you can start to find glimpses. Or this goes on to what you showed me with the NASA article. Earth has planet-wide electric field. That's important as gravity. Okay. And then NASA discovers it again here. Global electric field, or you could say global electric circuit.
Pro Clear Cleanse is the most powerful spray cleaner on the market today. No elbow grease necessary. Pro Clear Cleanse cuts through grease and grime like a chef's knife. Finally, the one cleaner that can do it all. Powerful surfactant cleaning technology cleans ovens, glass, porcelain, even polished wood. Environmentally friendly, less packaging and waste with no harsh smells. Pet safe, child safe. 5 tablets equals 1 bottle of traditional cleaner. It's 5 months of cleaning for a fraction of the cost. Behold the grease-erasing power of Odor Crush. Simply drop a tablet into your bottle of warm water and shake it so it is evenly diluted. Spray the surface you want cleaned. Let set longer for tougher grease. Take a paper towel or a reusable cloth and wipe. Done and done. One of the best things about Pro Clear Cleanse, it's you can take it anywhere. Hiking, camping, or on vacation. Without having to buy or bring cleaner, you can store the same potential in the tablets, then just add water and bam, you have a bottle of cleaner. Order now and make life a little easier and cleaner.
And these are just a bevy, a couple of headlines that I thought had some real reliable sources behind it, so you wouldn't go, well, you got that one off the Babylon Bee or something, it's coming from NASA itself and Earth.com, which is connected to space agencies, European Space Agency. Okay, and this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the previous cycle, and the Maunder minimum is 1640. They knew this is a reconstruction of temperature where the crops were lost. So if we're coming into repeating cycles, you already know where the crops are going to be lost, all right? This is the main thing. They already knew where they were lost the last cycle, and the previous cycles before that, talking about native or first peoples that had sent legends and stories down of, cataclysms and how, in New Zealand, the islands were pulled out of the water by fishermen. Well, that was obviously a zero magnetic field state on our planet where, like in that movie 2012, where island just rose out of the ocean. I mean, there's some real validity behind a lot of these stories, myths, and legends. They just couldn't explain it because they didn't have the science at the time. This cycle is repeated again and again and again through stories, through time and history of, just look at the map where cultures have come and gone and disappeared. And this is going to map up again. So if we're going to lose a lot of agriculture in North America, and we're going to lose a lot of agriculture over in Europe, and then in China, we're going to have to set up a new grow zone somewhere on the planet. And that's why your BRICS and all the investment in North Africa and the Sahel have just magically appeared. The stability is amazing. Civil wars are stopping. New investment projects are going in. Resources are coming out. All these agreements are made. And suddenly, right now, right when all this is happening, it's just, wow, we live in a great world. It's so coincidental. Then we go to the next one. And they say, this is what I'm talking about. These are the types of patents they're coming out with. They're actually trying to couple this now with some of these articles to say, hey, there's a possibility, quote unquote, possibility of atmospheric electrostatic harvesting, meaning they're going to pull that charge out of the air. Literally, that's always here because we have a magnetic field and you can generate power with it. But that's free. They charged you for the last 120 years. Deal with that. How angry are you going to be when you realize these have been around since the 1880s, these inventions, these patents, and then they suddenly told you had to pay and go to work every month and you had to drive and all the pollution and everything, and we could have gone straight to this, and we could have had weightless vehicles where we wouldn't have needed to buy any or build any roads. That's crazy. Like, they hid this from us for 100 plus years, and they're just coming out now with all these changes in the heavens at the same time. You know, there has to be something related here. So I digress, please. Event number 2, here we go. Okay, so you can just follow your eyes with this pretty easy one to read. Okay, Mars, Earth, and Venus are going to make a perfect line. And on the exact same time, Jupiter, Earth, and Mercury will make a perfect line, but the Earth will be in the center and a cross coming up. When's that? December 13th of this year. Just following right after that electromagnetic strangeness in October, we get this crossing. Now, again, this is where a lot of people are going to say, well, nothing's going to happen. Gravity, it doesn't matter. The planets can line up. Nothing's going to happen. But there's a whole bevy of peer-reviewed research say when these, especially Jupiter and Mercury being its iron core, when those two and the Earth sandwich in the middle, we get a lot of big earthquakes and volcanoes going off. Okay, that's on a single line. But now we got another whole line of Venus and Mars at the same time. We are literally in a galactic cross right there. So that's coming up on December 13th. So you got to feel, big governments, you're coming through this electromagnetic event, and then we're coming to this real crossing here that could have some earthquake and volcanic events right in a row. And then event number 3 comes in right directly after that in the beginning of the year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, the fuzz. So right around April, the Earth will be on the outside of all that. All the big giant planets, the sun, everything's going to be behind us. We're the only thing in the entire solar system in front of the sun. And everything that's out in space is going to get tugged into the face of our planet for about 4 months. Fireballs. You seen a lot of fireballs lately? I'm just asking. There's a huge amount of daytime sighting, nighttime sighting, giant fireballs breaking up multiple pieces, ground shock, everything. So here, I actually want to dissect this for you so you can see what's coming. I think this is one of the main, I think they're more preparing for this on the physical damage side than the perception change side. So you got these 3 giant events coming in. Big government and try to control the citizens on the planet when they see daytime fireballs coming in every day, ground shocks, window breaks, etc. So keep going forward with that. And I got a little bit deeper on you here. Okay, so here's the Earth in front. The last diagram I showed you is where the Earth was behind that, tucked in between those 2 possible potentialities of double magnetic looping toroid fields. And now we're out in front. So all that is pulling everything, whatever's in front of us in space, right into the planet. Everything's behind us. Okay, and if you go for, I'm trying to put it in context. I like to use visuals here. So that's the Earth, and every gravitational body is behind us. We are out there. Mars, you know, is next to us, sort of ish, but everything else is behind us. So as the solar system's transiting, it's like an arrowhead. We're right in the front of it. Next slide, please.
The front duck, right?
Yeah, we're on a windshield right now. So then a wide-out view, to put it in perspective, like there's nothing in front of the sun, and that's us in front of the sun. So that everything's just it's just pulling. Everything's going to get pulled in front. And wherever we travel through this more debris region, dense area of space, we're just going to get hit in the front for a few months, not forever, just for a few months. You got a cave on your property, and here you get left side is, oh no, excuse me, right side is us. Behind the sun, sandwiched between 2 magnetic fields. And within 6 months, we spin out of that, and we are the only body in the entire solar system in front of that.
There we go.
Speaking of spinning stuff, that was just like interesting that would come up. But then we're spinning right in front of, and you know, within that 6-month transition of something we haven't seen in 2,000 years, spinning out into the front of the sun, and everything gravitationally behind us, like this 6 months, and you can see why governments are responding or getting a little bit crazy. That might make sense why you're seeing the world seemingly turned upside down. It's not because of CO2. It's because of what's expected perceptionally, gravitationally, and infrastructurally breaking during this time and still trying to maintain control. So if that makes sense, thanks for letting me talk. Some people think I'm a little out there with my ideas, trying to connect them together, but perhaps not. I'll let you decide. Please do your own research. That's all I can ask. Please do your own research and get prepared.
How do you feed your families when the shelves are empty, the stores are shut, and there's no food available? What is the fastest, easiest, and most productive foods to grow? What is the quickest way to get somebody who has no skills at all up and running and producing very quickly? If you understand that we're at a point in history where it is no longer optional to be growing your own food. If you're like really freaked out and concerned because you've never grown food before and you don't have any skills, you don't know how to do that, but you know how important it is, then I want to let you know, however you stumbled here, you're in the right place. My name is Marjorie Wildcraft. I'm the founder of the Grow Network, and I have been the female leader in the survival and preparedness space for the last 20 years.
How to grow lots of food, even if you have no experience, are older and out of shape. This is for people who want the fastest and easiest ways to produce healthy and delicious meat, eggs, and vegetables. Because you know that growing your own food is like printing your own money. During this webinar, you will get status of global food shortages, how long the crisis will last, how much space you need to grow food, easiest, highest calorie foods you can produce, a complete plan for producing all the food you need, how to get started today, regardless of season. Marjorie will show you the fastest, easiest, and simplest ways to produce calories and nutrition, especially in a crisis and/or grid-down situation. The assumption is that you have no experience and you need to start producing food immediately. The most popular part of the webinar is the Q&A session at the end. So please come prepared with your questions.